I always say that if there was a Venn diagram of human literature, the biggest circle would be just everything ever written. So I think graffiti is interesting. Often it's so far outside of any canon that it speaks of a real underclass. Some of it's actually dangerous. Dangerous to look at, to interpret, to photograph, to be around. Made not to be read by everybody, but just by some. All those red spots are where it's been buffed out. I highly recommend checking out the short, avant-garde, underground documentary, The Subconscious Art of Graffiti Removal, which I've seen projected on walls and backyards at cool underground events before, but you can find on YouTube. It's about how, whether they know it or not, the people covering up graffiti for the city are kind of making art on their own, of an abstract sort. They're part of a dialogue and discord course, creating palimpsests. The palimpsest being a papyrus that was reused and all the levels showing through from all the different uses. This is an alleyway near where I'm getting an oil change right now, in the northeast heights of Albuquerque. Pigeon. I don't know what this guy's deal is, but I've seen his tag all around the fairgrounds. And before it was written out, it was a little picture of a tiny bird with a crossed out eye. I also met a rapper a long time ago at Bert's Tiki Lounge, which had free shows all the time and is not around anymore. His name was Pigeon, and he was kind of part of the street, and I think it's him. So he might be an ego tagger, putting his name up there, but he might be something else too. The different subsets of graffiti people are like, there's teenagers, there's youth culture, There's homeless people that use it as a marker of where they are. There's gang tags that operate honestly in a really similar tradition to ranch brands, the way that ranchers would carve their ranch brand and their individual name next to it. Pigeon's got a really big dot here on this eye. That goes back to early Spanish calligraphic traditions here in town. I think the 3 dots means something. There's also a dash there. Pigeon, ... That's interesting. Melvillian. I have seen the 3 being symbolic of something here and there, but when I've talked to some pretty hardcore graffiti people, they denied it. And they were like, no, the 3 dots don't mean anything, but I think they just didn't want to tell me. I think it could be part of the 13 tag, which means Sereno. 13 for M, or the Mexican Mafia. The Serenos, which were a California prison gang, have now become kind of an umbrella gang for a lot of gangs in New Mexico, etc. Pigeon. I don't know that I've seen this one before, but on the Federico's drive-through window, it says hen on one side. I wonder if that's the same one. I kind of think it is. Got quotes. Got what could be a number underneath it, or it might just be a flourish. 7 and 17 are very common around here. Here, this could have been put here by the business. Somebody allowed. If you see a whole wall of this sort of thing, it's called a permission wall. Uh-oh, that's another tag I've seen around the Federico's drive-thru. There's that book I looked at it in the novel section about a tagger who puts uh-oh on everything. I always meant to read that. What is that book called? This one's more of a mural than anything. The boundaries between different public visual art are very blurry. I do like this, but I'm honestly more interested in graffiti as anthropology than as art. I can't really read this one, but it might be Skuse. Tag I've seen around. I'm having a hard time reading this one. There's 3 dots again. BX3, that's another one you see around town. 3 could be a part of that. I never say everything I know in these videos, but you hear some things. I see they've got the halo motif on the top there. Also a 5-pointed star. I think that means something. I thought that was connected with Norteños, but the 3 dots over there makes me think no. I don't know. I've seen that halo on Latin King stuff. I don't know what this says. But that's another thing with graffiti. There's a philosophical element to it. You have to resign yourself, if you study it, to never understanding it all. Like, that's a different mentality. When you're studying almost any topic, you think eventually I'm going to have a real full grasp of this. But you might be wrong about stuff for years if you study graffiti. It's a really unique writing form. I mean, that's an avant-garde project. Like, even if you're just an ego tagger, just putting your name everywhere, that's wild. Creating a psychogeographic act, basically. Signing the world. In a way, it's a class gesture. Think about how if you're rich, you can get a billboard or put up something anytime, you know, big old sign. If you're shut out of the world, if you're not one of the people that owns the place, you have to create other template patterns to put over that you can own. I'm gonna own this alleyway. I'm gonna own this spot. Sometimes I don't even try hard to interpret things or really look at it or parse it out because it just doesn't matter. And it's kind of freeing to live with a little degree of uncertainty when studying things. But when you do start to piece things together, it's also very satisfying when it does happen. I know I could know more and be more systematic. If I ever get a degree in anthropology and write the dissertation book I've thought about graffiti, I would create some sort of a systematic site survey template. You know, I think it would involve concentric circles, like what's right there, what's a little farther out, what's a little farther out. Can this be connected to any other information from any other parts of town? This one really caught my eye. Before you look at the red here, look at the white. There's a tag from someone named Grape. I've seen this tagger tag around as Grape Ape also. That was a few years ago, but I bet it's the same person. I've been seeing Grape around a little more lately, but look at this over it. This looks very targeted at Mr. Grape there. No means no. Hey Grape, I can't help but notice the last 4 letters of your word. Your A is very interesting there too. I think that it's upside down. Probably means something. But here's this tagger 9314 wrote no means no. I think this tagger is a youngish woman. She's had an Instagram page at times and seemed to be just an ego tagger doing a, you know, little fun artistic project in some ways. However, I have also, I think there's more to it than that, because I've also seen that tag around some gang-related stuff sometimes. There's just a lot of overlap. If you're doing youth culture tags, yeah, you might be in gangs too. You might be homeless too. If you're homeless, you might be in a gang also. If you're in a gang, you might cross paths with the ego taggers and like become a group. And you know, some ego tagger groups like TCK became really serious, dangerous gangs later on. I think it's because you're tagging the same area. If you go to this park, which one is it? There's a school by it. What's that one called? Matheson Park, near Morris and Manal. You can see West Side and TCK have crossed out each other's tags, like put sniper rifle sights around each other's names. That's fine. Yeah, but 9314 intrigues me. But 14, that's a very like, probably means Norteño. And the color red, that's the Norteño color. So that's a Northern California prison gang. And there's just so much California influence on New Mexico now. These LA gangs come out here and find gangs with the same names and they just absorb it into them. There's satellite gangs like the Piru. Kirktown Piru is an Albuquerque gang near Sandia and Kirtland bases. That's a way out LA gang. But again, so I think what we have here is a little narrative about someone who's creepy to someone else, maybe even predatory. I'm gonna give Grape a second look every time I see that name and think, person with both rape and ape in their name. And now we have this here. It's like there's a story. Like we're always surrounded by stories. That might be 9314 again, I can't tell. It's very common to see multiple tags around an area for the same person. Can't really read it, but you can tell palimpsest, you know? I love my Sam. Quentin. I love my Sam Quentin. I don't know what that means. I love my, maybe that's someone his mama was here. Is this someone trying to find a kid? I don't think that's chalk. I think it's the same grease pencil you see a lot of tags in. There's the mystical mechanical eye that I worship. These are, what's that one say? Gex. G-E-V-P-E? That SH one's interesting. Could that be Sereno? But that X is interesting. And the H, what? You know, sometimes you see things and then you just think about them for a long time, and then you'll see something else, and then suddenly you have something that helps you think about the other thing. We have SH again on this red pole. Remember grape? Here he is again. I assume he. Oh, so the kitties can't get out. The palimpsest of the world continues. Okay. Now this is one that I see in my neighborhood more. Where I live in southeastern Albuquerque. I can't clearly read that one, but it does look like a familiar hand. But down here we have DSR, and I'm convinced that's the same as ABQK, and it could be connected to the Briqueños, this Albuquerque prison gang that kind of folds in all the people from Albuquerque that get sent to state prison. But I believe that stands for Duke City Riders or Duke City Rough Riders. Oftentimes letters that sound like other letters will be used interchangeably. I think even letters that look like other letters. And it's because it's not meant to be read by everybody. So this is an Albuquerque collective of gangs, I believe. TSR. I see this everywhere. I see it around ABQK also. I see DCR, I see DSK, that was the most common one. Duke City Crew probably, Duke City Killers. And again, a lot of this I'm just guessing from. Some I get it from YouTube comments. People are really free on comments. Every tagger and gang member also wants to be a rapper also, so there's a lot of rap online, and you can read the comments and find out some things that maybe aren't supposed to be known by the general public. Oh, Fett. You know what? Fetty, 24. The 24 could be a year, or Fett, that could be fellow, who was a tagger for a long time. Just like in linguistics, words tend to get shorter. You know. Jerk fuck, 24. I don't know. You know, this tagger bigger sometimes tags as 4 and fuck. Could be him. Could be someone that doesn't usually do this stuff. There's also non-graffiti that is like you gotta learn about. You gotta learn about construction tags, marks, like they often spray paint sidewalks. Or if you have like a tourist site, everybody will just be scratching their name on this or that thing. Including people that don't usually see this with their own schools too. Dubs. Oh, here's Dubs again. Yeah, this is definitely someone's spot because look down here. TSR. So Dubs is probably a Duke City rider. I would think that 24 means something. I don't think it means, you know, like look at what the letter of the alphabet is. If it's under 26 letters, I always check that out. So that could be X. X3, 13, Sereno. So 24 is X. These 3 X's are 3, X3. So that could be 13, Sereno, or the subset from, I think there's a Borellus group that's connected. Again, I could be totally wrong on all this stuff. But you do start to notice patterns and make senses of things here. And I've gotten to where I can kind of interpret some things, where I think I can at least. And if I'm wrong, maybe the right people will find this on the internet, and instead of murdering me, will just kind of give me some clues. Faint stuff. That's another thing, you got to be okay with just illegibility. Like some stuff's faint. It's gone. It's ephemeral. What's up, pigeon? Hey, we looked at a pigeon at the other end of the alley. We look at a pigeon at this end of the alley. It says something on that pole. I can't read it. Beautiful tree. Tay in the wind. Pesa. I've seen this one before many times. I think Pesa and Jetta are the same one. Ego taggers that tag all around. So I did meet a guy in Arroyo once who seemed pretty rough, and he told me that in his eyes he always saw water flowing in the arroyo, and that when he was in Juarez, Pesa meant someone who was really dangerous that you had to watch out for. Never 16, newer 16? Hard to say. Continues down. Never is a tagger. Newer, I don't know. There's a necro that tags around too, but I don't think that's that. Oh man. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. These utility boxes are often the sites of things. I see notes on them, like to meet in a different part of town, or this much was sold, etc. It's often very explicit. I've also seen acts of prostitution happening behind them. Look, this looks like 8 a.m. Bam. Loves. Amy forever. Am Bam. Wham Bam, Heart Am Bam, loves Amy forever and always. There's even some like handmade stickers, it looks like. Oh, Vassal, Vario, Southside Locos, that's serious. That's a big one. 13. See what I'm talking about? Sereno. But that's a big South Valley group. Holy crap, we found ourselves a little Rosetta Stone gold mine. Sometimes there's such an eerie quality to art. Some of it made with fentanyl and meth brain, probably. Oh my god, amazing. This is the raw stuff. This is good. This is the real. That is so similar to early Spanish iconography. They would often like add additions to native rock art, and it would end up looking like that. That's so interesting. The parallels are deep. And then here's cool. Someone just pulled up. A guy just came up and was like, "What's going on, brother?" But I know him. He works at the gas station here, and he recognized me. And we ended up at the same table at a coffee shop one time. He's a cool guy. Looky here. Yeah, you start seeing the same. You know, you start finding out who's around here. And then say you drive by after you're familiar with the graffiti and you see someone standing around, and you're like, that's that person. You might, no matter what demographic you're in, you might be knowing things you're not supposed to know. Rule of the street that I've noticed is leave when you're noticed. Maybe the rule of the street. Guy saw me here and he thought I was in a gang immediately doing drugs and stuff. Look at this. This is really incredible, honestly. It's interesting. Someone probably slept back here and doodled on this while they were zoning out in a trance.